And tonight we have back, upon popular demand and your request, Reggie Kelly. Reggie Kelly was one of the very first insightful players to join the roster. And I'll tell you, I've learned so much from him. He's such an inspiration. He's absolutely incredible. He's, I think, going into his 13th year in the NFL. He married his high school sweetheart, Sheila, and they have a beautiful marriage, and they have two beautiful children, Kyla and Kaven. And Reggie's also an entrepreneur. He just launched a product, this mouth-watering salsa called Kaven, which he named after his two children. And he's also an author. He recently released a book called Prepared. It is amazing. What it does is he talks about his own personal experience and relates it to um, passages from the Bible. It's really inspiring. It's for the mind, the body, and the soul. I highly recommend it. It's a great book. Couldn't put it down. And he's going to talk more about it tonight. So he's the role model of all role models, and he's someone that is really amazing at at overcoming adversity and being a tremendous model for that. Welcome, Reggie.
Coach, how you doing tonight, man? I appreciate you having me back. It's my privilege. It's
Oh,
an honor.
oh, it's great to have you. My goodness, everybody. We got tons of emails. Everyone said, "Bring him back, bring him back." So you're in, you're in big
well,
demand. You,
either I did a terrible job the initial interview and people just want to give me a second chance, or either they really like me.
no.
I'm assuming it's the second one.
Yeah, you're easy to like, Reggie. You're really
I
easy to
appreciate
like.
it. Thanks, Coach.
So we have a lot to talk about. Just a quick question: what do you think is going to happen with the NFL? Are you able to say anything about that?
Yes, so far it has been quite disappointing because we as players, we definitely want to get back and play the game of football. It's a game that we've been accustomed to doing since we were little boys. And right now, we basically feel like fish out of water because we're not doing what we enjoy doing. So what a lot of guys are doing, we're actually getting guys together, flying them here and there so that we can get some activity together and build that camaraderie until this NFL lockout is lifted.
Yeah, it's been a long haul, huh?
It's definitely been a long haul. We didn't expect it to go this far, but since it has, I think the message is clear that we as players have to stick together. We have to bond together. The former players, the present players, and the future players, we have to stick together to make sure we can get this issue resolved so that it won't be an issue in the future. And I think we're doing just that. We have no problem, no hard feelings against the owners. We understand it is business, but at the end of the day, we as players want to handle business that's going to benefit us as well.
Right. So it's for the goodness of all. That's what it sounds like.
It's for the goodness of all. We're not just trying to be selfish as players. We're not just trying to be greedy, but we want to make sure that the former players are taken care of with their benefits and health care. Want to make sure that the players who enter into the league are going to enter into the NFL in ideal situations. Like Coach, I've told you
Mm-hmm.
on countless occasions that it's my job to lead a game of football better than how I found it. And it would be a bad example of me if I didn't do just that in this situation. So it's bigger than Reggie Kelly. It's bigger than all the NFL players. We want to make sure that we set the right foundation for the future.
Wow. Well, it's amazing. I'm sure a lot of good will come out of this, Reg. And it sounds like you guys are
Oh,
really
it will. It
bonding as
will.
well. Good.
Yes, and
Well, thanks.
that's a good thing. We have. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coach.
No, no, go ahead. I think we have a little delay. You go ahead.
I was just basically gonna say I think it's a good thing. Just even though it's 32 different organizations on Sundays battling against each other's, fighting against each other's for our livelihood. But it's good that we see that it is bigger than the game of football. We are all brothers out there working together for one common goal, and that's to give the fans exactly what they want in NFL football, but also to be able to produce a good livelihood for people whose businesses are depending on the NFL season. And so, to us as players,
Right.
it's a sense of urgency to get this deal done.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're rooting for you, Reg. That's for sure. Well, we have
Thank you.
a lot to talk about tonight. Um, you have this fabulous book. I wanted to show it to everybody again. It's called Prepared.
I show
Use
it
the,
too.
yeah, you show it. Let's do it together. Yeah, in concert. Here we go. Um, it's a beautiful book. Hold it up as much as you want, Reggie, throughout the. It's a beautiful
Here we
book,
go
and
again.
there's this. Yeah, let's just do it again. We'll do it all night. Um, there's so much. What I love about it. It's your personal story, um, and and coupled with the Bible. It's just so inspiring, and it's so great to get to know about you and some of the obstacles you came up against and really tackled. Um, but let's tell the viewers a little bit about where you were before you were a sophomore in college. When you were the big dog, Mr. Popular, and let the viewers know a little bit about the big dog because then they can really appreciate where you are today. Where you've been since you were
Well,
sophomore year in college, where all your teammates call you Rev, as short for the Reverend.
just growing up, it was something about me that I felt like I always wanted to be accepted. I always wanted to fit in, be cool, so to speak. And so I went through lengthy odds to do so, regardless of what it took, regardless of how bad. I was
Mm-hmm.
sneaking through a lot of things, when I was in grade school and high school behind my parents' back, just to prove a point so I could be the most popular kid in school. And it worked like a charm. I had popularity one on one down to a science. I pretty much knew the buttons to push. I pretty much knew the little tactics to take, the strategies, in order for people to accept me. And it worked like a charm, and it seemed like everybody loved me. And I felt like pretty much all the hard work, all of the countless hours of scheming had finally paid off in high school when I received, I think it was the most popular award or most likely to succeed. I received a gang of awards, and I knew at that point I was the most popular kid in school. But little did I know, I was heading down the road of destruction, just all for the sake of popularity. And I can remember having that same mindset going into college. Received a 4-year full scholarship to play tight end for Mississippi State University, which, by the way, is an extraordinary program, a powerhouse. I'm sure I don't have to keep going. We all know this. But received a 4-year scholarship to play football for them. But I was a new kid on the block again. Nobody really knew me. And I just couldn't keep it like that. I had to make sure my presence was felt. And so I was away from home, away from my parents' supervision, which meant I could do a lot of more devilment, much more deception if I liked. And so I did. I pushed the envelope and went to extreme odds to become Mr. Popular on this type of a stage in university. And I did it. But the funny thing is, everybody loved me at that point. I mean, the coaches raved about me. The media always hyped me up. My teammates and everybody on the yard knew me as the big dog, so to speak. And trust me, I was loving it. I was loving every bit of it. But at that point, you would have thought that I would have been the happiest kid alive because this is all the hard work. This is why I put all the hard work into it. But at that point, for some reason, I was miserable. Felt empty inside. Felt like I was on a roller coaster. One minute I would get a high and seemed like I was on top of the world. The next minute I would be right back down in the dumpster, right back down in the tank. Just high, low. And I can remember trying so many things and nothing sustained me. And I was laying in my college bed in my college dorm one day and said, man, I've tried all of these things and nothing has sustained that happiness, that coolness that I desired. And so I decided to say, hey, why not give Jesus a try? Maybe I can get a high for a couple of more days. Once that high dies down, then I can try something else. But little did I know the high would sustain me from then until now. And so basically the words that was relayed to me and basically what I learned that day was I can have all the fortune and I can have all the fame, but if I didn't have Christ in the center of my life, there would forever be a void in my heart. There would forever be emptiness in my life. And so at that point, I rededicated my life to the Lord, and I've been on fire ever since. And now I truly have the definition of coolness. And I know it's cool to have a friend like Jesus who would lay his life down for me so that I may have the opportunity to live with him in heaven. That's cool to me. So I've been on fire ever since, Coach.
Wow. It sounds like it was a miracle, that you, divine
It was.
intervention, you know, it's
It
really,
definitely it definitely was, Coach.
that's a beautiful
It definitely
story,
was because
Reggie.
that there were many people, Coach, that along the way that always tried to persuade me. There were many people that always tried to pull me alongside, saying, "Come on, man, let's do the right thing." But I never would listen. But it was the right time at the right place when I was in my dorm room by myself, nobody to turn to but Jesus. And lo and behold, the rest is history.
So you were able to avoid all that temptation once you, turned your life over to Jesus.
Well, no, I'm not gonna say that because because there's always temptations out there. I'm not gonna say that at that point that I was squeaky clean, that I did everything perfect because I didn't. And to be quite honest with you, I still don't do everything perfect right now because I believe in my heart God doesn't call us to be perfect. He calls us just to be faithful. Even if you do make a
Right.
mistake, you have to be faithful and repent to Him and get back up, dusting yourself off, and start back fighting again. And that's exactly what I want to be, and that's what I want to encourage kids to be. I want them to realize that, just because you make a mistake, that it's not the end of the world. You got the rest of your life to get things rectified. You got the rest of your life to live. So let's fight and move on to the next journey, to the next opportunity.
Right. We all make mistakes. That's a given, right? And I think being perfect would be
That's
boring.
definitely a given.
um,
I like it. Coach, I'm gonna have to put that in my next book.
okay. um, and so part of the book, there were so many stories that I loved. Some of them I didn't know. Um, the one on the preparation of the mind, the Mr. Know It All versus wisdom, and your experience with the hostile fans. Can you share that story? Because that's pretty incredible.
Well, it was a simple way. It was just simple. When I left the college ranks, I felt like somewhat, and it's the same way with a lot of athletes. We're somewhat pampered. Let's just be honest about this. This is Mingle Media, so let's just be open with the whole thing. We're somewhat pampered in college. Tend to have a lot of things going our way. Tend to have a lot of people doing a lot of things for us. But when you get in the NFL, they expect you to be a man. They expect to handle you. They expect you to handle yourself as a man. That's why they're paying you to be a man of integrity and to be a professional. And so when I got into the NFL, I was expecting everybody to love me, to root for me. But what I failed to realize is that I had to earn that respect. I had to earn the crowd. And that wasn't something that I was willing to work for in the beginning. You see, when I first came in, I wanted people to accept me. I wanted people to love Reggie Kelly, and I wanted the spotlight to be on me. And that was a monumental mistake. And because of that, I began to whine like a baby. Because of that, I began to act like a spoiled brat until I finally
You did?
realized that this game of football is bigger. Yes, this game of football is bigger than Reggie Kelly. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
I, but it's about we. It's about the team.
Right.
And once I decided to sacrifice for my teammates, once I decided to get in the back burner, so to speak, and to push my teammates in front of me for the good of the team, then not only did my game increase, not only did my game get a lot better, but also at that point I saw how the fans started to receive me and accept me a lot better. And it's amazing. It's amazing because the Bible says it's better to give than to receive. It's amazing when you do give a little bit more of yourself, you receive so much more from it. And I've noticed that as from that point on, that's the reason why I try to give a little bit more to my teammates, a little bit more than what's expected. And in the process, I've seen how I receive, the love of my teammates. I receive the love of my fans and the love of the city, and I receive the love of the NFL. And it's crazy, but it was an experience that I had to learn, and now that I've learned it, I'm trying to teach the younger guys not to follow the way that I felt.
Right, and from what I've heard from the other guys, that you don't give just a little bit more, you give a lot more, and they really value your mentorship.
Thank you, thank
Yes,
you. Well,
they talk about
I believe, Coach, I appreciate that. I believe to whom much is given, much is required, and again, like I said, I learned that it's not about Reggie Kelly, and it's bigger than football. To be honest with you, it's not about Coach Carew. It's not about Reggie Kelly. It's about we being on this earth to make a difference. Just like I see you
you. Right.
making a difference in so many lives through the project that you're doing, and when you have that mindset, man, it's just like a catalyst.
Right.
It's like a catalyst. It will catch on fire, and not only will you inspire other people, that fire will trickle down to somebody else, and then they'll start inspiring the next person. That's pretty much what it's all about.
Yeah, it's very contagious. But that was a huge
Yes.
shift that you made, and that's an amazing story. Did someone help you along the way? Because that's a huge distinction, from going from me to we. Is there anyone there that supported you or challenged
Well,
you to knock it
my
off?
wife,
Or
but my wife is my biggest cheerleader. To be honest with you, she's my biggest fan.
hmm
My wife, my high school sweetheart, we've been together for a long time. She's put up with a lot of my mess. Trust me, it's too. We don't have enough time to talk about all that on Mingle Media tonight. But she's always been the one that's told me to keep fighting, to always trust God, to do the right thing. It's anybody can do the easy thing to get by, but the right thing entails sacrifice. It entails integrity. It entails doing those little things, even if it hurts, even if it's not convenient, so to speak. And she's always been there beside me and behind me and in front of me, helping me to be the man that I am today. And so just those words of encouragement from her has helped push me along the way. Even there's been times, Coach, and I haven't told this to many people. There's been times where I wanted to quit. There's been times where I've been wanting to give up the game of football. But just because of that encouragement that she's given me, now 13 years later, I'm still doing what I enjoy doing. I'm still living the dream, still doing my first love, which is football. And I just thank God for putting a virtuous woman in my life as my wife.
well, I'm so glad you have Sheila, and she's been lovely to work with on my end as well. And I love how much you're in love with her, and that's such an important point. We all need support, and that's one of the reasons why we
Yes.
created Insightful Player, is to inspire mentorship out in the world, so more people will mentor the youth, especially, because none of us can do it alone, and we sometimes get stuck in that trap thinking we can, and we just get so one-dimensional. So it's a really great message, um, Reggie. And you had another message in the book that about talking about regret, and and that big game, and was it 2002 with the Green Bay Packers? Green Bay,
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's a great story. I mean, there are so many great stories that we could talk about, but um, that must have been frustrating. Do you want to share a little tidbit on that?
Yeah, that was actually a tough game. Normally the coaches always tell you at the beginning of the season to start fast and to finish strong. That's always the slogan of every NFL season that I've been in. Start fast and finish strong. And so
Huh.
the first
I
game, I
like
think
that.
the 2002 season against the Green Bay Packers, we actually traveled to Lambeau Field to play the Packers. I think that they were heavily favored that game. But we came into that game and we laid the law down early. The first three quarters, we pretty much owned them for the most part. and that we were leading the game and had a comfortable lead, pretty much thinking that the game was over with, and we was going to leave the game with a W. We pretty much thought that we were going to start fast, and so it was toward the end of the third quarter, and we was right down by the goal line, and Coach Reeves called a play into Mike Vick. It was basically a pass play that was designed to go to one of the tight ends, and so I was the main tight end on that play. And man, you can understand, I'm in Green Bay, a mystique environment like Lambeau Field. I got the opportunity to make a touchdown. I was excited, and I can remember I could barely hear Mike scream out the play because the crowd was so noise, was so loud. But when he screamed out the play, I knew that I would be the key guy that would get the ball, and so I was excited. Ran the route. I was wide open. I thought the defense maybe the ref official maybe blew the whistle or something. I didn't quite understand why I was wide open, but they had busted the coverage. And so frantically, I was saying, Mike, throw the ball, man. I'm ready to go on prime time NFL Sunday night. See my name in the spotlight. I'm ready to do this thing. But lo and behold, he threw the ball. I ended up dropping the pass, an easy touchdown. That changed the whole momentum of the game. Um, because of that miscue, they ended up coming back and scored a numerous amounts of touchdowns and ended up beating us. And man, I felt like I was to blame, to be quite honest with you. And I know that, one player doesn't win or lose a game, but at that point, I believe that I was the reason why we lost that game. And I was down in the tanks. We didn't start fast. But lo and behold, after that game, we pretty much got on a nice run. The momentum shifted towards us. We were really rolling with, Mike Vick, T.J. Duckett, Ward Dunn, had a really great, really explosive offense. And we ended up making it to the first round of the playoffs. And who do we have on our schedule? The first game. None other than the Green Bay Packers again. We played them the first game of the season, and now the first game in the playoffs. And so the anxiety soared. And I started to think again about that play, that miscue. And I didn't want that to happen again. But we went into that game, all the odds against us. And to make a long story short, we ended up beating Green Bay in the playoffs. So we may not have started fast, but we definitely finished strong. And that was great.
Wow.
And we actually set history that night. We were the first team to ever beat Green Bay in a playoff game at Lambeau Field. And I still have the game ball
Wow.
to this day.
Oh, you do? You have the game ball?
Yes, yes,
That's awesome. That's awesome. So,
yes.
and so that story is really a great story, and we talk about regret because everyone has those feelings of regret. And, you had it publicly in front of the whole world, unfortunately, which makes it
The
more intense.
world.
So, what can you say? Yeah.
Millions,
And
millions.
millions and millions and probably zillions. And what can you say to our viewers that maybe feel frustrated because or are beating themselves up because they missed something, they made a mistake, or they're really torturing themselves? What can you say to them? Because you learned a lot through that experience right here
Well,
in this book. He shares it all.
I think one lesson that I learned is that, and it's an old saying. Some people may think it sounds elementary, but if at first you don't succeed, just try again. And that was my mentality. And that's what I want to relay to people that sure, nobody's perfect. Um, we all make mistakes, don't quite get everything right. Uh, some things can go horribly wrong. Some things can be quite embarrassing when it doesn't quite go your way. But you still have a chance to get up and dust yourself off and move on. I think sometimes people think that when they make a mistake that that's the end. But I think as
Right.
I've said in times past, um, trouble can really be a time of triumph if you have the right
Absolutely.
viewpoint. It really can.
Hmm.
An obstacle can really be a chance for an opportunity if you look at it from the right viewpoint. And I think that that's the
Okay.
way that people have to do it because my mentor who stays here in Atlanta, his name is Gary Pierce. He always tells me this one phrase is that your attitude will determine your altitude. And regardless of what you're
Oh,
going through in
love
life,
that.
you have to look at it from the right attitude. because when you have a positive mindset, when you have the right attitude, even when things are going wrong, you can still learn from that, you can still grow from that, and you can still prosper from that experience. So I think if there's one key phrase I want to use, it would be your attitude will determine your altitude.
Wow. And that's something that I've noticed about you is, you always seem to ask yourself right in the middle of a challenge, okay, what can I gain from this? Your ability to
Hmm.
expand your perspective is like amazing, Reggie. It's incredible. And everyone else out there can do that too, you know, to think of
Hmm.
what good could come from this, right? Because it's, go ahead.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree, Coach. I'll say this. Um, One of the things that really keeps me ticking is purpose. It's a simple word, but yet it's so profound. Purpose. When you feel like you have a purpose in life, that's inspiring in of itself. When you feel like there's purpose and there's meaning behind everything you go through, regardless of how small, it will encourage you to fight through it and to become better because of it. And that's my mentality. I've experienced a lot in life. Um, Obviously, a lot of things I didn't want to experience, but now that I have experienced, I've seen how that has challenged me and has molded me to be the man that I am. And because of those life experiences, I've seen how others have grown and have um, benefited from those miscues that I faced in life. And I think when we truly grasp that there's a purpose behind everything you go through, that you're not just going through it for the heck of it, so to speak. You're not just going
Right.
through it just to be going through it. God's just not trying to beat you down. God's not just trying to pick on you. Instead, He's trying to mold you. He's trying to grow you. He's trying to make you a man and a woman of integrity. And when you have that mentality, when you have that focus, trust me, it's not hard to be motivated because you know that you're going to eventually help somebody. Um, and Coach, you and I have talked about this on many occasions, but you know, every time I do an interview, I try to constantly reiterate this point. I am a man, and obviously, I want my kids to be much better than me. I have a daughter and I have a son. Um, how can I expect my kids to be much better than me if I don't show them how to be better than daddy? How can they know how to
Right.
fight through adversity if they don't see daddy do it? How can my son know how to love his wife if he don't see daddy do it? How can my daughter know how a man is supposed to treat her if I'm not treating her mother the way that I'm supposed to? And for me, it's about purpose and about leaving the right legacy behind. Um, when coach, when somebody sees Reggie Kelly, regardless of where it may be, if it's in a sports magazine, if it's in the newspaper, if it's on Mingo Media, Twitter, Facebook, when somebody sees Reggie Kelly, it's my goal for them to initially say he has integrity. That's what I want them to say. He has integrity. And so my name means a lot to me. I want to leave a good name behind to my kids as well. And to me, there's purpose behind that. And there's no room for error. There's no room for defeat. I have to make sure that I do this, and I'm going to.
Wow. I could listen to you all day. You're very inspiring, and again, you make it much bigger than you. It's not all. It's not a. You're not self-involved. You're just so open, and your perspective is huge, and the whole purpose thing is awesome, and that really does help us expand our perspective. And one of the things I always think of when adversity shows up, and it always does, is that okay,
It always does.
I feel like it's not. It always does. It's not that God wants something from me. God wants something for me. And what is it that God wants for me?
Wow.
And that
Mm,
helps. That really
that's
helps.
nice, Coach.
When in adversity.
Coach, you give
Um,
me 2 points. You
so
give me 2 points in my new book. Now you don't mind. So since you didn't patent those statements, you
no,
don't mind me
they're
taking them, do
yours.
you?
No, they're all yours. We're a team, right? We're a team. You know.
With
Um,
you.
you should speak to all the NFL players like this. And I think the owners and the players, if you could get in front of a room of owners and players, boom, everything would be settled. I believe that. Reggie for
I wish.
president.
Give me an opportunity. We'll do so.
Do you have a
Thanks,
few
Coach.
more
I
minutes? I don't
appreciate
want
it.
to.
You're a good woman. Thank you. Sure, no problem. No problem. I'm just, I'm enjoying my
I mean,
time. I'm
there's
enjoying
just,
doing this. I don't have a
oh,
problem.
good. There's just so much in this beautiful book. I just want, why don't you hold yours up too? Let's do it together. Um, Prepared. Look at that face. He's so proud, and he should be.
I'm,
Um, it's it's very inspiring. You should get this for your kids, but parents, you read it too. Um, Another piece in there is you know, from when I first met you, you were on injured reserve, and
hmm
and that was in 2009, right? And playing for the Bengals, and I
Correct.
was astounded by your attitude. I mean, it was in preseason, right? Wasn't it preseason when you got hurt?
Yep. Sure was. It was in training
And then you
camp.
couldn't play that whole, yeah, and you couldn't play that whole year. And
Correct.
tell us how you got through that, because I know that had to have been enormously disappointing,
Yeah.
to say the
It
least.
was. It was extremely tough. It was difficult because um, as I spoke a little bit earlier about the lockout, the guys feel like we're fish outside of water right now because we're normally practicing the game of football, and I felt that
Right.
same way, and even worse, when I ruptured my Achilles because I was a little bit naive. I hadn't suffered an injury to that extent in all of my career. And so when the trainer told me that I would be out for the entire season, I looked at him like it was a joke at first. I'm like, nah, it can't be. I've never missed a season since I've been playing way back in junior high. So definitely I won't miss this season. You probably
Wow.
misdiagnosed me. There has to be another explanation. But there's no way I'll be missing an entire season. But once reality sunk after I saw the doctors and they re-explained it to me, the extent of that type of an injury, uh, my heart broke. I'll be honest with you. My heart broke. I was in tears many a nights. I was hurting
Oh.
inside. I was disappointed because what people don't realize, I think a lot of people think that, the guys really play this game just for money. But there are so many guys who really just love the game of football. And I'm one of those guys. I grew up in the
You are.
backyards of Mississippi where after we would watch NFL games, we would go and reenact those same plays. I used to sleep with my football in bed with me growing up like it was my teddy bear throughout college as well. So I actually enjoy football. It's fun to me, and that's why I've been playing so long and don't want to give it up. But back to the story, when they told me that my career, not my career, but that my season will be over with, it was quite devastating because not only that, there were many people I could tell um, questioning me, and to be honest with you, thought that my career would be over as well. Because an injury like that has damaged a lot of people's careers. And so I had a couple of strikes against me. I was an 11-year vet, which means I was an old goat as far as NFL standard. And then I suffered what could be a career-ending injury. So with those two
Right.
strikes against me, you can understand why people didn't think I would be back playing the game of football. But I made up in my mind, and along came you when you gave me when you and I talked and when you interviewed me, and it was around that point where I made it up in my mind. I said, you know what, if it's meant for me to retire, fine. I retire. I move on into my next line of business. I don't have a problem with that. But I thought to myself, what if it's not meant for me to retire right now? What if you give up too soon? What damage could that really do, Reggie? And so I made up in my mind that I was going to fight. I was going to put all my heart into the rehab process and give it my best and see where the outcome would lie. And low to speak, I guess you could say, well, no guess to it. I healed in a record-setting pace. The trainers were astounded, to say the least. The owner of the team was amazed. The coaches really couldn't quite figure it out because an injury like that, it takes a long time to recover from it. And I'm glad that I did put in the effort and the work and came back and played in all of last year's season and had a good year individually, even though we didn't have one collectively. But the one thing that really excited me about this whole experience is one of my teammates came up to me. His name is Nate Livens, starting left guard for the team, and he pretty much told me how the way that I handled this whole situation, my Achilles, inspired him. It encouraged him to never give up.
Wow,
That's what it's all about, Coach.
that's beautiful.
That's what it's all about.
That's
You have to
that is
encourage people to
amazing.
never give up. And so,
It, it, absolutely, and I think one of the things, Reggie, that makes it you able to do that is you're so willing to face those feelings of disappointment, sadness. You said you had cried many nights. I mean, you're so willing not to shove it under the rug, but look ahead in the head on, whatever that expression is, and and feel it and experience. Oh, so you could release it, right? And you could be more present, and it sounded like you surrendered, and then that gave you the to start thinking that, oh my, um, well, what if it isn't over now, and that just gave you that
right,
internal drive to work harder. So that's incredible because a lot of people don't are too afraid to face those kinds of emotions, and that's why I brought that up because I that's one of the thing another thing one of the many things I admire about you, and you're so open about it.
well, you know one other thing, Coach, is that um, the time that I ruptured my Achilles, we had Hard Knocks, which is an HBO series. They came out and actually recorded our whole training camp, and they recorded me getting injured, and they recorded the whole deal. Even the trainer telling me that my season was over with. They recorded all those things on film, and so people all over the country had an opportunity to actually see, the life of an NFL player. And I say that to say this, after that event happened, and after I rehabbed and came back, man, Coach, it's been amazing that the number of emails I received, and whenever I go do events, people always come up to me and tell me that, I ruptured my Achilles too, and your story has inspired me, not to give up, and your story has inspired me to keep fighting and to work through this thing and knowing that I can conquer it. And that's why I was saying it's bigger than football. Obviously, it's bigger than Reggie Kelly. So many people can be inspired by your story. And I know sometimes I sound a little bit redundant, but that's the reason why I believe I'm here. That's the reason why I believe God gave me this platform to be a light and to inspire people. And that's what I'm going to do until the day I die. Um, Point blank, I know my mission, I know my purpose, and I'm going to get her done. I'm going to get her done.
You're getting her done all the time, Reg. That's for sure. And my earbuds keep falling out, or this one does anyway. And it's so touching when you're on purpose, and you're such a role model for being on purpose. You just deeply touch people, like your teammate, like those other people that come up to you. It's really, that's why we're here, isn't it? To really love and be loved, and that's what you're about.
I agree. I mean, I agree, and I think we all have it within us to do that. To be quite honest with you, I think we all have that good within us.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it has to be pushed. Sometimes it has to be pushed out of you, as it was in my case. But once you get the train rolling, I believe it's hard to look back. Just one look on one
Absolutely.
kid's face when you truly touch their lives, it's as they say, it's priceless. There's some things you can buy with money, but to see a smile on somebody's face and you can see that it's a heartfelt, sincere appreciation, you can't put a dollar amount on that. That's some priceless stuff, and so I love it. I love to see people overcome things because, as I've told you time and time again, everybody don't respond well to criticism, but 99% of the
Right.
time or 100% of the time, everybody's going to respond well to some form of encouragement. And so I'm going to continue to do that because I believe that I owe it to this world, and especially the kids. I think that's something that's near and dear to my heart. Um, so many times I've seen and I've heard
Yes.
of stories of kids being neglected, of kids, being told that they won't amount to anything. And it's saddening. They've been in environments where
It's
they've been
awful.
subjected to so much negativity, and you hate that for kids because you want kids to be put in the best possible position for them to succeed. But a lot of kids
Hmm.
wasn't privileged the way that I was privileged to have two loving parents that raised me up the right way, that encouraged me, that disciplined me, that showed me the way to go. And for those kids who don't have those parents, then I step in the gap. I'm willing, I'm able, and I step in the gap to make sure that if they can hear one glimpse of some positivity, if that's a word, from an NFL player, and so be it. I do that because I know one word, one positive word, can change the outcome of one kid's life. And if you do that, it was all
Absolutely.
worth it.
Absolutely.
It was definitely all worth it. It would
It
definitely
is
be
so
worth it.
worth it. And there are a lot of kids out there that don't have that love that you had with your parents, that I also had with my parents. And I think we all need to be on the
Hmm.
lookout for that. And that's why Insightful
Oh yeah.
Player was one of the biggest reasons it was created, is to inspire mentorship and to get more people just paying more attention to your neighbor, or you know kids on the playground that are by themselves, or I mean, this it's just heartbreaking, and it's even tough to grow up when you have great parents. When you don't have that leadership,
Yeah.
um, it's really tough. It, and you said something really important that I've noticed as a coach for many years, is that the human race, we all crave acknowledgement, and encouragement, and we just don't
Hmm.
get it. It just doesn't happen that often, right? and and so
Yeah, it
that's
doesn't.
another thing that you're doing in the world, and it's so important. And maybe we can challenge our viewers tonight to pick up the phone, or to talk to someone in your house and just tell them how much you care about them and why. Just let them know why
Hmm.
you think they're special. you know Maybe everybody
Hmm.
could do that.
I agree,
I
Coach.
don't know how
I
many
agree.
people are watching, but um, that would be a great thing.
Do it. Just
If
do
if,
it.
if do it now, right? Gonna get Nike to sponsor
Do
it,
it
right?
now.
and, and one more point I'd love to ask is, and it so ties it all together. You talk about the distinction being about being unique versus being accepted, and that whole uniqueness,
Yes.
about being on purpose. Can you say a little bit about that?
Yes. I think that so many times in life, and trust me, I've done it on many occasions. I think we're so prone to look at other people's gifts, other people's talents, and oh, she's pretty. I wish I was pretty like her, or I wish I had her hair, or she can sing. She's
Right.
gifted in this area. And so many times you can get caught up with trying to be like that person instead of trying to be whom God has called you to be. Because that's the only way that you can
Right.
truly be effective. If you take the gifts and the
Hmm.
talents that He's given you and maximize them in the arena that He's put you in, then you can definitely be called successful. And so I just want to challenge people today to be you. God made you. He made you unique. He made you different. He set you apart for a specific reason, for a specific purpose. Just live in it. Just live in it. And if you do that, you'll be fruitful. So many times I think people have so many different definitions of being successful. They think you have to be a millionaire, professional football
Right.
player. Uh, that's not necessarily the definition. I put it like this: that's not what I call successful. What I call successful again is God giving you a gift. He's giving you a talent, and you take that gift and that talent, and you prosper in whatever arena that He puts you in. If it's a Sunday school teacher, if it's a professional football player, if it's a lawyer, a doctor, whatever the case, whatever arena He puts you in, if you become a success and prosper and blossom in that arena, then you're considered a success because you maximize all the talents that he's giving you. And that's what I want to encourage people. Just, as we said, just be you. I think my mom used to say this, just do you, I guess is what she used to say. And I think that's what you have to
Oh,
do. And if you do that, you'll see how,
right.
something like that. And if you do that, I think you'll see maximum, you'll see your potential maximized. I think you'll get
Right.
every fiber of your being out and you can be the best that you can be. And that's what you really have to do. You can't be like the next person. All you can do is be you.
Right. Absolutely. And everyone has gifts, and people have to know that.
Everyone has gifts. Everybody has talents, and you have to use those talents.
Hmm.
I say this: those gifts and those talents will unlock the doors to so many opportunities if you use your gifts
Right.
and your talents. I can't use your
Right.
gifts, coach, because it just wouldn't work for me. I have to use the gift that was tailor made just for Reggie Kelly. And when I step
I
into those
love that.
tailor made gifts as if you would step into a tailor made suit or a tailor made dress, it will fit perfectly. And you can walk in comfort
Mm.
and you can live in comfort and you can prosper the way God has called you to.
Wow. Thank you, Reggie. That was great. Now, where can everyone get this fabulous book?
Well, you guys can always
Prepared.
check out my book, Prepared Body, Mind, and Spirit, on my website at reggiekelly82.com. You can always check out what I have going on. I always tweet inspiration, lots of encouragement and things, and also lots of activities that I be doing in the community and so forth on Twitter at reggiekelly82. I appreciate your support. I'm doing this hopefully to try to encourage people. I truly want people to prosper in life and be the best that you can be. And you have to go to the extremes to do that. So if you'd like to purchase the book, that'll be cool. If not, we can do lots of mingle media, lots of Twitter, lots of Facebook. But the word must get out for you to be prepared for destiny.
Well, that's great. Maybe we could do a teleclass on your book and invite everyone to come for free. What do you think of that?
Telecast. Sound,
Yeah.
sound like a plan. Telecast.
Uh, yeah, right, right, yeah. Well, thank you so much. And, um, we're going to have you on again. I mean, for sure, your message is beautiful. Any last parting words you want to leave, Reg?
I just want to say a quote out of my book. And this was something that an NFL veteran told me by the name of Terrence Mathis, my rookie year into the NFL. He simply said this: if you do the little things right, then the big things will follow. I want to encourage all the viewers out there to just do the little things. When you do those little things, you'll see how the big things will follow, and you'll see how you will be prepared for whatever comes your way. Thank you, guys, and God bless.
Thank you, Reggie. And thanks Sheila, too, for all her help.
Thanks, Coach. I definitely will. I tell my bae that you said thank you, and that she's the hardest working woman in show business. So she appreciate those things. Thanks, Coach.
I can tell. I can tell. All right. Thanks, Reg. We'll have you on again soon.
Thanks, Coach. Peace.
Okay, you too. All right. So, Reggie, boy, that was such a treat. I hope you really enjoyed him. We'll have him back again for sure, since you all asked for him to come back already. So, well, maybe we'll have him back again next month. He has so many beautiful messages.